What's up guys, Brian Grant here of ContestChampion.com and welcome back to another mastery testing video. Today I'll be discussing some masteries and testing some masteries that don't get a whole lot of attention in the MCOC community. Talking about Inequity and Resonate that are pretty deep in the defensive tree here. So let me explain how these masteries actually work first, and then we'll get into some testing to see how effective they truly are, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts at the end of the video. So Resonate here, how does this work? Well, every time you attack the opponent, you have a chance to apply a debuff on them, and if the Resonate debuff is on the opponent, you're going to be reducing their attack by a certain percentage. If you have the ability maxed out, you'll be reducing their attack by 13%, and it's an 18% chance to apply on each one of your attacks. So if you're attacking with a 5-hit combo, odds are you are going to apply this Resonate debuff on them. Inequity, which is the prerequisite here, states that for every detrimental effect that the opponent is suffering, you're going to reduce their attack by a certain percentage. If you have this ability maxed out, for every detrimental effect you have on them, it's going to be 6% reduction in their attack, and it stacks up to 36% damage reduction, so or attack reduction. So that means that if you have this ability maxed out, if you have 6 debuffs on the opponent or 6 detrimental effects on the opponent, you're going to be reducing their attack by that full 36 amount. And not only that, guys, but if your character doesn't have any forms of applying a detrimental effect, well, Resonate has you covered because this does count as a debuff on the opponent. So this will count as one of the debuffs for Inequity here. So even if that's your only debuff, you have Resonate, and then you have an extra 6% damage reduction for Inequity here if it is maxed out. So the other debuffs, you might think like, oh well, there's really not that many ways to apply debuffs to the opponent, stuff like that. But guys, bleeds count as one of these detrimental effects, and I think we all know how powerful bleed champions are right now. So let's get into the actual testing. What are we gonna do? Well, you can see here clearly I don't have these abilities at all, right? There's no points in these abilities, and I have kind of a funky setup here with my masteries. It's strictly for testing purposes, this build. I just wanted to give myself some extra life here for the test. And if we go into the offensive tree here, I have Deep Wounds maxed out. So we are going to be using a bleed champion to test out the damage reduction. So I'm going to do one test without these masteries, and then we'll do a test again with the same champion, same masteries, other than adding these, and we're going to see what the damage difference is like. This is just what my utility tree looks like. It doesn't really have any effect on of the numbers that you're going to see, but I did just want to include it just for the sake of including it, basically. So how are we going to test this? Well, I'm going to take in Black Panther against a Magik, actually. I'm curious to see the Limbo damage. I want to see what the Limbo damage is like if I can apply these debuffs on the opponent. So we need some kind of baseline here. I need to actually find somebody with Magik. Here we go. So very high level Magik. I should get taken out pretty quickly here because I'm going to be using a 3-star Black Panther. And the goal of this test is again just to see what that Limbo damage is actually like. So that's the only purpose of this first test here. So we just need to push Magik to her level 1 ability and then see what kind of Limbo damage I'm actually taking. Okay, she did not proc Limbo there on her gaining 1 bar of power. Let's do this again. Oh, she's got it that time. Okay, so I'm taking 220 damage. 220 damage per tick. Alright, so let's get out of here. Keep that number in mind, guys. 220. And now I'm going to pick up these masteries. And I'm going to max out both of them. And then we're just gonna see what the numbers are actually like. Now for the test, I want to have the full stacks of debuffs here. So I need 5 bleeds on the opponent, plus a Resonate debuff. That's gonna give me the most damage reduction possible with this build. So it might take a couple of tries to get the timing all down with her Limbo there. So, all right, I think we were. Where are we at here? Yes, this is the Magik that we were dueling. Okay. And let's see if we can play a little bit more aggressive this time and stack some bleeds on the opponent here. Oh yeah, we're getting some bleeds going. Alright, that would have been perfect if she would have procced her Limbo there. Still no Limbo. Are you kidding me? I had all the bleeds on the opponent and everything. Okay, there we go. 152. 152 is what that was ticking for. Let me see if I can get that number again. You can see it's 183 that time. I guess it goes by what the debuff stacks were at the time of. All right, was that 187? 174. Okay, so it looks like the numbers fluctuate depending on what kind of bleeds were on the opponent at the time. So 152 seems to be the lowest number that I can get it to. Now, I was pretty happy with that first test for two reasons. One, we saw, the kind of damage reduction you can get for having Inequity and Resonate. And then two, we learned how Limbo actually works, where it seems to snapshot whatever her current attack is when she gains the Limbo buff. And that damage cannot be reduced or increased until she gains a new Limbo buff, it seems. But I wanted to do another test just to make sure that I was seeing, that I was getting all of the debuffs on the opponent, and that my eyes weren't playing tricks on me, since I was also trying to keep up with the fight. So I turned off the webcam, I turned off the microphone, and I tested again. And check this out. If I play this back in slow motion here, we could see that I'm only actually taking 137 damage per tick of Limbo here, and I have the full debuffs on the opponent. And then I went back and I was thinking, okay, well, how many debuffs did I have when I was seeing that 152 number? And guys, it seems like I had the full stack of debuffs on the opponent when I was ticking for 152 also. So I'm really not sure what's going on there. I even play this match further to see that I'm taking 147 if I drop one of these debuffs off. So I don't know exactly what's going on here. If there's something that you guys can maybe tell me of why I'm getting these results, or maybe there's some kind of bug, I'm not sure. If you guys can't come up with anything, because I certainly cannot, then I'll send this footage to Kabam for them to review, just to make sure that these masteries are functioning properly. But in any case, let me go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on these masteries. So, Inequity and Resonate. What's the deal with these masteries? Are they any good? Are they actually worth investing your points into? Well, the short answer is, yeah, kind of. And the long answer is, it's complicated, guys. It's always complicated in this game, but that's also what keeps this game interesting. It's what makes this game fun, right? The masteries that I like might not be the masteries that you like. The champions that I like might not be the champions that you like, and so on, right? But let's see if we can kind of objectively figure this out, if these masteries are going to be worth it for you. So you saw in the testing that the damage reduction, it was real. It was real against a high-level Magik, against her Limbo damage. It dropped it down from 220 to a best-case scenario of 137, which is pretty significant. We're talking about 83 damage reduction, and it's not just that one time of 83. No, Limbo activates its damage every half second over a span of 3 seconds, right? So it's 6 times that 83 number, which that adds up. That adds up pretty good, guys. And if you've ever gone against a Magik in Alliance War, then you know her Limbo damage is up, like, I don't know, 100% of the time or something. It's ridiculous, right? So you are going to be reducing that damage by quite a bit over the span of a fight. And it's not just Limbo damage that you're going to be reducing. That was just a convenient thing for me to test, because it should have been a consistent number, even though the testing, it wasn't 100% consistent there. But you're also going to be reducing the damage that you take when the opponent actually lands a hit, and when you block from the opponent's attack, and even when you get hit by their special, because you're just reducing their attack overall. So it's all of these things that you're reducing. Not only that, but it also plays around diminishing returns. There's only so much that you can reduce your incoming block damage by having block proficiency. Eventually, if we added on another 1,000 block proficiency here or something like that, the diminishing returns just takes over, and you're not getting as much value per point of block proficiency anymore, right? But in this case, you're reducing something completely different. You're throwing a different number into the equation. You're reducing the attack of your opponent, so it's going to get around this diminishing returns, right? So it's really good in that sense. However, you also saw a couple of things that maybe weren't so good about these masteries. Number one, I was not always able to keep up this Resonate debuff. Its uptime is pretty good, right? It's an 18% chance, or 16%, even if you just wanted to get one level into Resonate. And if you're landing a 5-hit combo, odds are you are going to apply this Resonate debuff. But let's say you get into a situation where, you have to bait out the enemy's special, and now you're backing away from the opponent, and you're trying to bait out the special, and they're just not throwing it. Eventually, Resonate is going to drop off. And let's say you mess up, and now you get hit by their special, or something happens where you push them to their special 3, right? You're going to eat that full damage. You're no longer reducing their damage through Resonate, right? Same thing works with Inequity here. You're not always going to be able to keep up these debuffs on the opponent. You could see in the testing, sometimes I had 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to like 7 or 8 or something like that bleeds on the opponent. It's not completely consistent. You can make it a little bit more consistent by using bleed champions and having deep wounds maxed out, but even still, you're not always going to be able to reduce that damage by the full amount. So you have to keep that in mind, that, if you look at these masteries on paper, yeah, you could reduce 36% of their attack and an additional 13% here, but you're not always going to keep that. You're not always going to have that kind of damage reduction. It's going to be somewhere, between that maximum amount and 0, unfortunately, at times. So just keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that it's a heavy investment to get these masteries, and I'm not even talking about the unit cost. Yeah, the unit cost, it's expensive too, but it's a one-time unit cost, whatever. You could save up the units if you really want to get these masteries. You don't have to spend money on them or anything like that, right? But when I say expensive, I'm talking about you have to have 15 points in the defensive tree just to get over 2 of these masteries, just to get willpower, which if you don't have the suicide masteries is not super valuable, right? Just to get these Inequity and Resonate masteries here. So it's a heavy investment in terms of the amount of mastery points that you're able to spend. Are there builds that can manage those points? Absolutely, and I'm going to get into my preferred build in the next video, but you have to keep that in mind. It is a heavy point investment to get these. I will also say this. There are situations where having these masteries are better than others, of course, right? If you're a fan of using someone like Electra, then having Resonate is incredible. Because you're able to very consistently keep a debuff on the opponent without having to worry about using her special 1 to apply bleeds or armor breaks on the opponent. You're able to have this Resonate debuff on them, which is going to give that 85% reduction of defensive ability accuracy. So it's really strong when using it with Electra, and you really only need 1 point if you are a fan of Electra, if you need Electra for a certain case, because you still have a 16% chance to apply this debuff. And it's at that point, it's not even about the damage reduction, it's just about having a debuff on the opponent, right? So I do think that is really strong. If Kabam it just happens to be listening to this, I don't know why they would, but I would actually really like to see the percentages reworked so that having more points is a bit more worth it because of this heavy investment. I would like to see this go from 16 at the first level to 20 on the second level to 25 on the third level. This way you can have it, that debuff a little bit more consistently. It's definitely not the most overpowered mastery. It's a good mastery, but I feel like for the cost of it, in terms of both units and mastery points they need to get over to the mastery, I feel like it can be buffed up a little bit. One other thing I will mention is that when 12.0 first came out and we were taking a much more significant amount of damage, I was actually excited, not because the game got harder, but because I thought that I came up with a way to kind of beat that damage. And it turns out it didn't really work out, but I'll explain now, just so that maybe you guys can have this in your mind going forward. If there's like some new challenge out there, this just will allow you to maybe come up with a solution to it, right? I thought that going up against Magik with a champion like Ant-Man, where I was able to apply all of these debuffs, right, get that full damage reduction, and not only that, but because he's a science champion, I thought I was going to be able to take advantage of Serum Science here, which unfortunately I don't have maxed out, so I can't test for you guys just yet. I will eventually, but I thought having this, this energy resistance on top of having actual energy resistance here, I thought that was going to reduce Magik's Limbo damage to like next to nothing, right? Turns out that Ant-Man's debuffs, they don't quite work as well as I had hoped, so that idea kind of fell flat. But again, just keep that in mind, that there are other things, there are other combinations that you can do to reduce the opponent's damage even further. So there are interesting use cases for these masteries. I would say it's not a mastery that I'm going to keep using every single day, But there are definitely cases where I want these masteries, and these masteries are going to help me save units in the long run, or they're going to help me get through challenges that I would not have otherwise been able to get through. And I'll be back in the next video to show you guys my preferred mastery build that includes these. So until then, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.